My mom likes her new house and she's moving in with us starting today. Um,
My husband said, "If you don't want to live with us, then leave."
She said, "If you don't want to live with us, then leave."
I didn't understand what they meant at all. I am Jenny, 27 years old, a housewife, and currently pregnant. My husband Lucas is 30 years old, and he is an office worker. When I got pregnant, I knew that they would be crying at night with a baby, and we wanted to raise my child in a spacious place, not in a small apartment. So we decided to build a new house on my father-in-law's land. Virtually. Now, when building a new house, there would be a meeting with the architect. I was soaring. I want a kitchen of this color. I want a bath like this. I think everyone dreams of the ease of use and the design they like, and it makes them excited. I was so happy to have a baby and a new house. However, I had a worry. Every time we had a meeting with the architect, my mother-in-law was always present.
I asked my husband, why does your mother attend the meetings?
he said, she did the renovation of my parents' house 3 years ago, so I should get some advice from my senior mother.
At one meeting, my mother-in-law said, "We need one more large room. There should be a large space for the Buddhist altar." She ordered us to have a large space for the Buddhist altar.
I said, what, that big Buddhist altar you have? It's an old-fashioned Buddhist altar in your parents-in-law's house. She wants to have a space for it in our house, and you want an additional room. I said it would become difficult to take care of the house if we had so much more rooms than we need.
She said, "You need to have a lot of rooms when building a house."
I asked my husband, why did your mother decide everything about the house when she won't live together? I walk together.
He replied, my mom is a senior homeowner professional because she's experienced in remodeling. Besides, I've never made a mistake in my life by listening to my mom.
There's not a Sami. I said, okay, she's like, yeah, when are you gonna take the Buddhist altar? We live separately, and that will happen after your father and mother have passed away. So if it's time, we could think about what to do. With that, I argued, we cannot have that big one at our home.
He said, are you trying to speak badly of my mom? Who do you think you are?
He was just like that, not listening to me. I did not want to make space for a Buddhist altar, so I decided to negotiate with my mother-in-law again at the next meeting.
I said, the room for the Buddhist altar is inevitably a dead space.
You think so because you're still young. When you reach 80, you will definitely feel more comfortable with more rooms. And then you will feel more at home with the Buddhist altar because I'm the same. Wang, oh please get rid of those steps. We need a barrier-free house and add handrails on the stairs.
We tried to prevent it until the construction began, but my mother-in-law did not listen to me. In the end, the house was built with the layout that she wanted. Barrier-free, handrails on the stairs, and an extra room for a large Buddhist altar for the future.
My husband kept repeating, don't speak ill of her.
He couldn't discuss it with him, as the house is being built on my father-in-law's land. If we don't have to pay for the land, the amount of repayment would be less. However, if we put all my mother-in-law's wishes into the house, the construction cost would naturally increase. I was very annoyed that I had to pay an additional cost to add more space only because my mother-in-law's wish. The architect understood the situation and suggested that we could reduce the cost. he made some suggestions to reduce the cost.
Money will come back to you if you spend it comfortably.
That's what my mother-in-law said. Well, the new house was completed. I was very happy to see the new house, and the smell of the new wallpaper made my heart flutter. Newly built houses smell really good. A few days after we moved in, my mother-in-law and father-in-law came with a housewarming gift. Thanks to you, we were able to build such a splendid new house. I thanked my father-in-law. This, in fact, it is. I feel that we probably would not have been approved for a large loan if we had purchased not only the house but also the land.
But the smell of a new house is so nice. Now you're ready to welcome a baby. As a grandfather, I couldn't be happier.
Ike said, his eyes narrowing at the thought of his yet-to-be-seen grandchild. My husband showed them around the new house, proudly displaying the Buddhist altar room. All that remained was to wait for the baby to arrive, but then something unexpected happened. Just while we were having breakfast on Sunday, a moving company came to our house. I had no idea what was going on. Anyway, I opened the door. I asked him if he had the wrong address.
He replied, "No, Mom. We have a delivery for this address." It's surprised I let them in, and they brought it in a large package. As I opened the package, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a beautiful handcrafted crib for the baby. I was overwhelmed with gratitude and thanked the moving company staff for their delivery.
But the address was right. I was puzzled because I didn't understand the situation. I heard the sound of a bicycle's warning tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. I heard the sound of a bicycle's warning. It was my mother-in-law.
Put this here and this one there.
What's going on?
The scene was so sudden that I was at a loss for words. Then my husband, who had heard the commotion, came out of the front door.
My mom liked to run for Buddhist altars so much that my parents are gonna move in with us starting today. And if we both thatch.
Oh, what,
If their belongings were suddenly brought in by the movers, and then I was told that we would have to live together. How is this possible? Then my mother-in-law said, "What are you just standing there like that, getting in the way of the moving in of our belongings?" She grabbed my shoulder and pushed me. Oh, I'm not just standing here, I'm standing here in a daze. If I had been in good health, I would have said that back. But there was so much information to analyze that my head couldn't keep up. My mother-in-law seemed to have noticed my pale complexion. I've been thinking about moving in together since the meeting with the architect.
At first, I was listening to you to give you some advice, but gradually your house became closer and closer to my ideal. And when it was done, your house was just perfect. So we decided to move in together.
But what about that parents' in-laws house that's fully remodeled 3 years ago? I went to visit my in-laws' house. He looked back at me and said briefly, "Let's go to your home." But when I returned to my new house with my father-in-law, the moving of their belongings was almost finished. The moving van was no longer there.
What did you come back for? Do you mean you agreed to live with us, or are you prepared to be thrown out? If you're going to leave, you will have to pack your own things.
It's my mother-in-law, who was having tea with my husband in the living room, was grinning at me.
My father-in-law stood in front of my mother-in-law, who said such a thing without care.
Hey, we are leaving. If you don't want to, get out of this house and out of my house.
Duh.
My mother-in-law dropped her teacup, and the red tea soaked the table.
Why? Lucas has agreed to let you stay here with us, right?
My mother-in-law asked my husband.
Because Mom said she wanted to do so.
He said as if it was a matter of course.
How long are you going to keep putting your blind faith in your mother? You're already 30 years old. You should be mentally independent.
I had never seen my father-in-law, who was always so mild-mannered, get so loud and angry. My husband's shoulders shook at the sound of his voice.
Your mom has changed.
My father-in-law pouted in a muffled voice.
Where did you get the idea that if you spend money comfortably, you'll get it back?
He asked my mother-in-law.
I heard that too. She said it during the meeting with the architect.
I said so.
I knew it.
My father-in-law nodded and told me what had happened so far.
She said she would spend money comfortably, then it would be returned to her. So her belief in Buddhism escalated. She started to entrust a fish and a lottery of about $5,000 to a shrine because she believed she would get the money doubled in value and returned to her.
Those thing fish and double money.
I didn't even have time to ask back.
It's a true story, you know?
My mother-in-law exclaimed in a tone of annoyance.
Because that's what it said on the internet.
Internet.
I was so surprised that I shouted even louder than my mother-in-law.
Is it based on information from the internet, where anything can be false or true?
My mother-in-law's belief in Buddhism is based on information from the internet. If you entrust a fish and entrust lotteries in value of $5,000, they will be doubled in return to you. I was surprised that the basis for this was internet research. But my mother-in-law was very serious.
Yes, you should search for money-saving actions or money-saving spills, and you will find them.
My mother-in-law pushed her phone against me. I couldn't hold back any longer.
B means search for spell.
What are you laughing at?
How could I not laugh? My mother-in-law turned red and squealed like a monkey, and I couldn't stop laughing. To prayers. Aside her, my father-in-law said, "Yeah, if he wasn't my wife, I would have laughed too." Looking at my father-in-law, I felt sorry and stopped laughing. It would have been unforgivable if my hard-earned money had been used in such a way.
I don't want all of you to be victims of my wife's wrong thinking. I thought enduring it and letting my wife do what she wants would be for the sake of my unborn grandchild.
Oh, what the hell? Are you gonna talk bad about Mom too, Dad?
X hikes of POF's ears. I was annoyed by the situation. What are the attitudes of my husband and the way he is talking to me and my father-in-law? I would never forgive them. I wanted to protect my father-in-law.
Suppose your mother's thinking that the internet is always right, and your thought that your mother is always right is the same. Your mother and you are really unfortunate adults who can't discern the truth. And of information.
Thank you, Jenny, he said in a small voice. I thought I had given you the least by having you build a new house on my land. But at the same time, I was already running out of savings because of my wife. Then she suggested we go to Lucas, who had money because people and money gather where there is money or something like that.
It's not about the truth and falsehood of internet information. It's a problem with my mother-in-law's personality. She's completely like a hermit crab, going from shell to shell. But my husband and mother-in-law didn't give up.
But of course, you go where the money is.
And if Mom wants to move in with us, she can.
That's why Lucas built us an extra room and agreed to take over the Buddhist altar.
Saying Ami is always right, and the internet is always right, and the two of them were yelling and screaming. These two cannot be saved anymore, and my father-in-law and I looked at each other. I felt a surge of righteous indignation that I had to make them go away for my father-in-law's sake.
First of all, Grace, you are wrong.
I told my mother-in-law directly.
You say it's written on the internet. Well, why don't you search for Lucky Charms crap or something? Seriously, no, I don't deny. I don't deny good luck. But if you want to make more money, it's much more practical for you to go to work than to entrust lottery tickets at the shrine now. At the very least, if you'd apply the time you wasted goofing around in meetings about our new house to our part-time job, you'd have a few tens of hundreds by now. And then you realize, what kind of effort does it take to get those tens of hundreds? How hard your husband worked to earn the amount of money you bought the lottery tickets you gave to the shrine.
I told my mother-in-law that much at once, and now I turned the blade of my words to my husband.
He's in, and you believe your mother so much that you assume everything is right, and don't even notice that you're about to be regulated, will not be capable of making the right decision for your child. Oh, in other words, it's a divorce.
Duh.
My husband's voice trailed off as if he hadn't expected the conversation to proceed to the point of divorce. In contrast to him, my mother-in-law yelled of sign, "Get out of here." My mother-in-law spat at me. However, it was my father-in-law who blew away my mother-in-law's strong spirit at once.
You are divorcing me too.
My father-in-law firmly told her.
What?
My mother-in-law looked back at my father-in-law. However, there was no way she could get hold of my father-in-law.
In the first place, I never thought I would live with my son and his wife. The house has just been remodeled, and I will continue to live there. As Jenny gave up on Lucas, I don't have the energy to support you anymore. Bury the internet, or whoever. And that land is still in my name, so Lucas, you get out. You can do whatever you want with your mother, who you believe in. That house belongs to Jenny and her unborn baby. The baby should grow up with someone who can make good decisions. I started dating someone.
Thus my husband, my in-laws, and I each got a divorce. 6 months later, we got the divorce settlement. My father-in-law and I each lived in the house we owned, and my husband and mother-in-law were exit from their respective homes. My brainwashed husband kept telling me that his mother was right on all fronts. I told him, and then he said, "Yes, I will." They started living together in an apartment. After that, I heard that my ex-husband visited my father-in-law. My father-in-law said that he sent him away. My father-in-law has retired and is still working as a contracted employee. He enjoys going to a chess club as his hobby. Now that she's gone, I can say his money again. And sometimes he bought toys and was happy to come and visit his grandchild. My father-in-law told me shyly, the partner seems to be a member of the chess club. She's a very intelligent person who judges tactics. She seems to have chosen me after analyzing me carefully.
If I do as Mom says, the money will not increase. I want to borrow money from you.
Esri, that's then our side. Then, why don't you and your mother live together as you wish? That sounds great.